Cary, you've been sports editor here at the Signal for several years, and
generations.
Yes, many generations, and have covered a lot of stories. I know what you consider your favorite story that you wrote last year is. Tell us about it and how you covered it.
Trinity basketball, Trinity Classical Academy, their basketball team made the CIF championship. About a week before the game, we heard about this young man named Beau Howell. Beau Howell has autism, and he's been a kid who they've tried to get into games, late in the games, get him a shot, see if he could score. He never did score. However, the fact that he got in games and took a shot was the story that we wrote as our preview to the CIF championship game. The next day, or that day, we covered the CIF championship game. Trinity was blowing out this team called Desert Chapel, and Beau gets into the game. We knew something special was going to happen, but we didn't realize how special it was. The other team, the Desert Chapel team, they weren't told that Beau had autism, but they could tell that there was something different about him. The coach's son on Desert Chapel, his name was Tanner Alvarez, saw this, gave Beau the basketball, and Beau took a couple shots and he finally made it, and it was kind of one of those spine-tingling moments.
This was not planned. This was just a impromptu reaction. Tell us about how the crowd reacted.
Well, we were covering in two ways. It was myself and Dan Agnew who was there. I was basically in charge of writing a sidebar and kind of holding the camera. And when Beau checked into the basketball game, I could tell something special was going to happen. But I remember holding the camera and watching him and watching the moment and kind of having to take a big gulp because there was like a knot in my throat because it was that emotional. I actually, I reread the story about a week ago, and just the moment brought kind of chills to me. It kind of made me almost kind of want to cry because it was such a special moment. The kid he's such a great kid. Probably, has never had a moment like this in his life. This was unexpected and probably one of the greatest stories I've ever seen unfold in front of my eyes.
Just reading the story, and then we posted a video also on this, and seeing the video is just, I think one of the most memorable moments of last year, whether it's in sports or whatever.
And you asked how the crowd reacted, and I remember kind of seeing his mother up in the stands and his mother just cheering, and everybody really cheering, and apparently there were a lot of tears as well. It was a special moment for everybody involved.
This isn't a typical sports story that most media organizations cover. As sports editor, you're involved in a lot of things. We cover the community very, very closely. How do you decide what is a really good sports story?
It's kind of a feel, I think. I remember that day as well. The story actually appeared on our front page, A1, as our centerpiece, and it was originally slated to go in sports. But we felt that it was necessary that it go on the front page because it crossed boundaries. It was more than a sports story. And I think with those kind of things, it's just experience and feel, and those kind of things came together for this particular story.
In a good sports story, don't you have to have like a really good story about winning or losing, or is that too simple?
No, I think you're absolutely correct. I think winning and losing bring forth so many emotions. This one's at one end of the spectrum, the other one's at the other end of the spectrum. And because there's so much emotion in there, it's important for us to capture the moment, and it's difficult. Sometimes you could overplay it, and there are times where you can underplay it. So getting that balance is always difficult. This one was an obvious one. There's no way you could have screwed it up. I mean, anybody could have written this story, and it would have been special because the moment was so special.